No, sweet Jesus!
Oh my god!
Oh, jeez.
Welcome to the Viewfinder Streaming Podcast, a weekly discussion on the latest news and releases from the world of Netflix, Stan, and Foxtel, presented by finder.com.au. Join our hosts Adam, Ali, Sally, and Brody on their journey north of the wall, west of the world, and just south of the Upside Down. Enjoy. Hey there, and welcome to the Viewfinder Podcast, MCU Special. I'm Thor Brodenson. Next to me, I've got the incredible Hunk.
Oh!
Hey.
If you can see him. Next to the Hunk, we have Gamora. Let's just call her Ali.
Half-assed
Ali.
Gamora. She didn't want to paint her skin green at
Galessa.
10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
so
and
now she's
clearly-
just wearing a pink wig and kind of looks like Princess
Yeah,
Peach, and I'm rocking it.
And clearly we didn't have any green paint.
No.
There's a lot of tension in the room.
It's really hard to...
Adam is just like burning lasers.
Look,
at
some of
me.
us are committed to our craft, Ali.
including Sally, who's dressed as maybe the most popular MCU character. Severus
Draco
Snape?
Malfoy.
Draco Malfoy.
I don't know anything about Marvel, so I decided to dress up
She's
in my
like, is
Hogwarts robes instead.
is this a comic book?
Marvelous movies. So we've got a full show of MCU chat today. Up top, we're going to talk about some recent casting stuff, and then we're going to move into a discussion about Infinity War. So up top, big spoiler. We'll make it as obvious as possible later, but we're obviously going to be talking spoilers from nearly every single MCU film, and of course Infinity War itself.
So if you haven't seen them, then real quick, go watch every film in the MCU, and we'll be right here waiting.
We'll
In
wait.
fact, we'll wait in real time. So, okay.
All right. What's going on, guys?
Just kind of do our own thing. For a little while.
Oh,
Right,
okay,
that's
great.
How about that weather?
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there.
Thanks for coming back.
Check
Yeah.
out Thor. Wow.
Yeah.
What a film.
We've recently got some news about some Spider-Man Homecoming 2 casting, which is interesting because you've had your chance for spoilers. At the end of Infinity War, obviously, Peter Parker Spider-Man is one of the many superheroes who vanishes from existence thanks to Thor's click after he's collected all the Infinity Stones.
That would be Thanos.
Thanos.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Alternative
Thor, you
universe.
bastard! You've been in cahoots with him all along. That's the twist.
That
I'm
would
just-
be brilliant. I'd watch that.
I'm just thinking about myself, let's be honest. I'm going to take this helmet off for now. And
Oh,
So,
look at your locks.
the recent casting news from Spider-Man.
God, he's like a shampoo commercial.
Oh my god.
It's a pretty big one. So we've got rumors that Jake Gyllenhaal will be playing the villain Mysterio.
Yes.
Ooh, yes. So obviously, like the three of us on this side of the table are big MCU fans. As Sally mentioned before, she's really not interested in superhero films whatsoever. So
Just happiness in general. She hates it.
Yeah.
that's the Slytherin in her. So we've invited her along nonetheless. So what do we?
Child.
So I'm gonna straight out say I'm pretty excited to see Jake Gyllenhaal in an MCU movie for one. The thing that I'm a little bit worried about is that it's Mysterio, because I feel like Jake Gyllenhaal could go one of two ways, which is really goofy or insanely creepy, like in Nightcrawler.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was about to
man.
say, I reckon they'll take him that route.
Yeah,
It's like,
man, if he went
why
Nightcrawler.
would you put him forth as a villain, knowing that you've seen Nightcrawler and how creepy he is in that film?
Yeah.
I just want that times 100.
Yeah, seriously. And I feel like Mysterio is kind of he's kind of a campy villain, but I feel like there's the potential to make him really, really dark and creepy.
Which is what these movies do so well.
Yeah. Well, the Vulture was a campy villain, really.
Yeah.
And Michael Keaton was awesome.
Yes.
He's so great.
Yeah.
So.
The kind of the fear that I have of him kind of taking the campy goofy side is that has anybody here seen Okja?
No, but I've heard of it and it looks fun.
It's a great film, and
It's
he
not
plays
fun.
it's not fun.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it like animal torture or something?
Yeah.
It turned Brody
Hey.
vegetarian.
Yeah, I haven't eaten
Really?
meat since. Yeah, legitimately.
I'm Babe Pig in the City turned me vegetarian
Ah.
for a while.
So
Then I went back on it.
basically, Jake's character in that is just this really over-the-top kind of celebrity veterinarian who's like a shill and is taking money from the meat company. But he's like, I love Jake Gyllenhaal so much, and I have ever since, thinking that I was incredibly deep as a 14-year-old
Because you
watching
like
Donnie
Donnie
Darko. But his character in that is definitely one of the worst things about that film. It kind of, like the film is incredibly dark, and then you just have these wacky scenes with crazy Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's weirdly out of character for him, I think. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see if it's true or not. But another confirmation that we had is that Michael Keaton will be returning as the Vulture.
Oh,
and
cool.
I have absolutely no problems with that whatsoever.
Oh yeah, he was great. Have you noticed how many Marvel villains kind of have this sympathetic, like a sympathetic side to them that, like, you see them and you're like, okay, from their perspective, they're the good guy here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
just like when Thanos was talking sometimes I was just like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
For sure.
Honestly,
know,
that's what I loved so much about the movie.
overpopulation is one of the core issues that Earth has, so he is helping out the rest of the population.
Yeah,
you know?
and
No discrimination, just 50-50.
that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I
And
love that
build
about
up.
his character. Is just that, like, sometimes when he's saying stuff, you're like, I can't really disagree with him.
You know what?
Right there.
Yes.
I'm
Wait,
not-
hold on.
I'm
a
not so
second.
much for the genocide, but I can see where he's coming from.
Yeah, he's got a plan. Look, not all of us do.
Yeah,
Um,
you know, a lot of us sit around and talk about problems.
So the other kind of rumored casting is the return of Donald Glover. So he appeared in the first Homecoming as just a kind of, random character plot point where he Spider-Man was kind of trying to prove a point about the life of crime.
Yeah.
And he kind of came and went and gave Spider-Man some advice, but we found out later that he is actually Miles Morales' uncle, the newer Spider-Man, Peter Parker's protege. So theories are that he will return as the Prowler, his villain character, Donald Glover, in a future film, and that's when we will introduce Miles Morales.
See, we chatted about this a little bit the other day, and I think I'm sure that they're not going to go this direction, but I think it would be so gutsy if the next Spider-Man film was Miles Morales.
Yes.
Because Peter Parker is fucking dead.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that. How ballsy would that be? That they're just like, no, we're not gonna retcon anything. He's dead. So here you go, new Spider-Man.
Yeah, and as we said, Tom Holland, the Spider-Man that people have kind of most connected with probably ever.
Which I didn't think would happen. I was
Yeah.
so surprised.
Yeah.
Because I watched Homecoming, because I'm kind of like I like Marvel films, but I'm like, I could also just, not, and I'd be perfectly fine either way. And I tried watching Homecoming, I was just like, yeah, like another Spider-Man movie. I was like kind of tuned out from the start. But then when I watched Infinity War, I was just like, hold on, this Spider-Man's actually a real Spider-Man.
Great.
He's a
great.
kid as well. Like, I
Which
think-
really helps sell it. Like
Yeah.
he's
Totally.
he's
Yeah.
meant to be this smart mouth kid.
yeah, exactly.
So I'm definitely keen for that. And I thought a little bit more after our conversation the other day, and I actually think that would be genius because everyone was so think that they had picked it at the end of Infinity War. They were like, oh, the Spider-Man Homecoming 2, he's obviously
Yeah.
gonna live.
Yeah.
And even let's say that they bring back Tom Holland, which they're very, very likely to do.
Of course.
Introduce Miles Morales in Spider-Man Homecoming 2. Maybe he could be a part of Avengers 4, helping bring back.
All the Thanos
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I love it. Who would you cast as Miles Morales?
Ooh, that's a tough one because for so many years now it has been, of course, Donald Glover, who really, really wanted to play that role.
Yeah. But then I also love the idea of Michael B. Jordan, but I feel like it might be a bit too old.
That's what I was thinking.
That's the thing, is it's like the immediate people you can think of are a bit too old now.
Yeah. There was another actor who I would have really liked maybe a year or two ago, but again, I feel like a little too old now, is Keith Stanfield. So he is in Get Out. He plays the friend who's been brainwashed at the start. He's in
so good.
Short Term 12 with Alison Brie. He plays the the boy in the halfway home who she's looking after and connecting. with, and I just love him as an actor. He's in Atlanta as well with Donald Glover.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, like I watched Short Term 12 recently, and I was like, perfect teenager to play Miles Morales. And then I was like, this movie was made some years ago now.
Not a teenager.
When is this movie coming out? Do we need to start like poaching some really young actors who are in like some teen dramas and just be
exactly.
like,
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Find
5
someone
years.
Find someone from Riverdale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
don't
I'll
go
do that.
the route, the Tobey Maguire route, where you've got like a 35-year-old. He's like, I'm a kid.
So
I love
much
school.
Yeah, let's go to high school. I got math class. I don't know why I decided that Tobey Maguire is like a 12-pack a day smoker.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi is the next Peter Parker, I think. And kind of winding back a little bit, speaking of Alison Brie, of course, one of the biggest Marvel films to come soon is Captain Marvel. Again, another one that's going to be set before Infinity War, before most of the MCU actually in the 90s. And, of course, we've known about Alison for a long time in the lead role as Carol Danvers. And Jude Law is playing Marvel, who I'm not... yeah,
So it's like,
real creative.
Marvel.
I'm not too familiar with the backstory there, but I believe, it's a similar kind of mentor-protege relationship. And the most interesting part of this is that Lee Pace will return as Ronan,
Oh, cool. Interesting.
which I'm super happy about because I've said this before. You're a big fan of Guardians 1.
Yeah.
I lean towards Guardians 2, and I think the way they kind of handled Ronan in number 1 was a little silly. I feel like he was wasted, and Lee Pace is such an amazing actor. I'd like to see him like really have a crack at the role. And we don't know who he's playing yet, but Ben Mendelsohn's also been cast.
Oh, man. Whoever he's playing, it's going to be awesome. Because
Yeah.
it's Ben Mendelsohn.
He's just kind of become that go-to villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good at it.
Yeah. Cool. So, a little bit of trivia for you. Who here's seen Ragnarok? Show of hands.
I have.
Yay! Adam? No!
Oh my god.
I've seen like the first 20 minutes and then I fell asleep.
Oh,
But
damn.
but it was awesome. Like
Awesome
it wasn't-
20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't fall asleep because I wasn't engaged.
Yeah,
But
right.
Yeah.
So, everybody's seen the trailer at least, and this is a line from the trailer. You know the classic, like, oh, it's okay, I know him. He's a friend from work when he falls into the ring with Hulk. So that was actually a line, because most of the movie was improvised. Taika Waititi,
it?
obviously. Yeah, yeah.
Ah, that's nice.
Yeah. And that line specifically was a suggestion from a young boy who was visiting the set on a Make-A-Wish
Oh,
my
cool.
God.
Foundation.
Angel.
Yeah.
That kid writes great dialogue.
Yeah. It's like, you should say he's a friend from work. And they're like, yes. Cool. When we're back, we are going to do a full Thanos on the MCU. So, some discrimination against which the films we would keep and which we would kill if we had to split it down 50-50. Cool. We'll be right back.
No, sweet Jesus.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez. What just happened?
And we're back. Well, 3 of us are back. 3.5. The Incredible
And
Hulk has
Like,
vanished.
it's not even here.
The ghost Hulk.
I
Whacked
mean,
him in the face.
like, I never thought, like, when we filmed in front of a green screen, that green paint would be an issue.
No.
That's so odd.
Well, you look great nonetheless.
And me with my degree in video production. Not really.
I'm just a simple god. I don't know about these things. I don't know how to organize a podcast.
Sally, can you do a spell to increase my opacity?
Pessio
50%.
Done.
All right. Well, thanks for coming back.
Some of us.
We're going to move into Thanosing the entire MCU in a second. So I thought, just to make it very, very clear, we're sticking exclusively to films that are within the Disney Marvel MCU. There's no Fox to be spoken about, no X-Men, although we all love them.
I want X-Men.
X-Men
the only
is the
thing I
only
care
one
about.
I like.
Yeah, right?
God forbid if anybody mentions DC.
Oh, sweet Lord.
So yeah, basically, as I mentioned before, the idea is that we're going to go through each movie, not including Infinity War, and make a case to keep or kill each one in a little debate-style chat. And Sally is going to be the judge on which movies make it through, and which
with all of my expertise.
Your encyclopedic knowledge of the MCU.
I'm going to be
really
wildly
left in no better
uneducated through all of this.
That's great.
Just like the rest of your life. It's fine.
Oh,
Whoa!
Yikes! Whoa!
What's the bad one?
She is
Really
slithering.
slipping into that role.
Fucking
All right,
Slytherin.
before we get
I'm but a
started,
mere Hufflepuff.
before we get started, just another little tidbit of trivia for you.
Ooh.
So the very first Avengers film, where we first saw them all come together to fight the Chitauri invasion in New York, we had the Hulk, we had Captain America, Iron Man, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and I feel like I'm missing somebody. Oh, me, Thor. But originally, Black Widow wasn't meant to be a part of the Avengers in the MCU.
That's completely unsurprising to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, she was the character that was actually meant to show up in Avengers to fill that spot was the Wasp, who we're now obviously getting a movie for. But the kind of the benefit of including Black Widow was that she had already been introduced in Iron Man 2, obviously. So the big problem with these huge ensemble casts are that you constantly have to kind of explain backstories, you know, when you're introducing new characters. So many Marvel films have failed at that before, Spider-Man 3 being the best example. But, you know, then in Civil War, we saw the best way to do it in Spider-Man's case is just drop them in the action and just totally fuck off the origin story. Because nobody really cares, and we've seen that origin story so many times.
We get it. You got bit by a spider.
Uncle Ben.
Wait, I thought he was hit by a meteorite. I wish they'd done an origin story. Set me straight.
So let's kick off Thanosing the MCU. 50-50, folks. Sally, what's the first movie we have on our list?
Okay, well, we're actually going to start with your namesake, The Incredible Hulk. So,
But wait, was that proper MCU? The
Yeah.
Edward Norton
Ed
one?
Norton is
Wasn't that the
official
first one?
MCU canon.
Official MCU. Oh, Thanos the hell out of that.
Thanos.
Yeah.
Thanos it.
really?
Six to Sunday. It wasn't a bad movie. It's just a completely forgettable movie.
Totally forgettable. It has no impact on the rest of the MCU. It
Exactly.
was meant to.
The only tie-in it has to the MCU is Steve Rogers' frozen body as an Easter egg.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Sounded like Tobey Maguire for a second.
We've found our new Peter Parker.
Oh, guys.
All right,
So are
that
we,
was pretty unanimous across the board. We'll
Kill it?
Kill.
Oh, good. We're
Damn.
off to an easy
Like,
start.
well, I'm going to keep it.
Well, I liked it. So.
They're green.
Just before we move on, I'm going to drop this bit of trivia here because it's relevant, and this is probably the only time we're going to be talking about the Incredible Hulk. So, in the Incredible Hulk, the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk, we got a little glimpse at a potential villain who was meant to play a large part in the MCU. A doctor, played by Tim Blake Nelson, copped a bit of Hulk's blood in his eye.
Oh, yeah.
And right before the end of the movie, his brain started to swell and his head started to expand. Of course, like implying that we would eventually get to see the kind of the staple Hulk villain leader in the movies. And I have no love for this movie. Obviously, we've just killed it off without even thinking about it twice. But I love Tim Blake Nelson. I
Oh,
would have loved to
man.
see that.
Spin-off? Just with him?
Yeah. Or just
All
bring Ruffalo into it.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think they're ever actually going to do a standalone Hulk film?
I
with
really
Mark
hope
Ruffalo?
so. I think they've been turned off from the whole...
I think so too.
Yeah.
The Ang Lee one, like, there are a lot of things that I would forgive about a Hulk movie, right? It could be stupid, it could be campy, it could be like B grade, but the only thing it can't be is boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Yeah.
it's the Hulk
It's the
and
Hulk.
Hulk smash.
What else do you
Hulk-
need?
Hulk not cry and be introspective.
Like Michael Bay the Hulk. Why not?
Exactly. Like, and Ang Lee, it's like, hey, you know what would be great here in a movie about a giant green monster who smashes things is if every time they travel from point A to point B, we show the entire journey. Because otherwise the
Lord of the
audience
Rings.
otherwise the audience won't know how they got there.
Yeah.
Right? So if they're leaving on a helicopter, let's show the whole flight in real time. Because if we just cut to the helicopter landing, yeah, exactly. If we just cut to the helicopter landing, the entire audience will be like, how'd they get there? It's magic.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ang Lee.
You're really going to piss off those Hulk fans if you fast travel.
All three of them. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay, Iron Man.
Iron Man. Okay.
I mean, I think you've got to keep the first Iron Man because it's the granddaddy of the MCU.
It is, and coming at this from like the perspective of the fact that it was so successful, obviously helped kick off this whole crazy thing.
Crazy.
I don't see how much it impacts the wider storyline.
Not necessarily, but I feel like it set the tone for the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
It number one, it was unlike any comic book movie I'd seen. And number two, it took a character who really not that many people cared about and made him like really intriguing.
Yeah, right.
And
now one of the most popular.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that's what the MCU has done is it's taken these like it's up until basically Spider-Man got brought into the MCU. It was all these kind of second tier superheroes, like none of the most popular Marvel superheroes, and it made them more interesting than any of their other characters.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's like Iron Man set the tone for that. And it also, I think, set the tone for interesting casting choices. Because I don't like when I heard Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man in the same sentence, I was like, that makes no sense.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Robert Downey Jr. up to that point had been kind of like this serious dramatic actor. He was always a bit pudgy, like you just never thought of him as an action hero at all. And then I remember seeing the very first publicity still from Iron Man where he's working at the Forge. And I'm like, holy shit, look at Robert Downey Jr. He's stacked.
Rip.
Yeah. And and it was just like it showed that they knew what they were doing with casting. Like they could make interesting casting choices that paid off, you know. And it was a huge risk.
And I can't separate the two now.
Yeah, and Robert Downey Jr. was not, like at that time, he was not a box office draw at all. You know, like his time had come and gone.
Yeah.
And like for them to take a risk like that and for it to pay off so successfully, like I think you've just got to keep it because it's like that charted the course for everything that's happened since. Even if the story didn't necessarily, just the I guess the filmmaking philosophy behind it completely set the tone for everything that followed.
Strong argument, Sally. Do you have any question?
Well, Ali, do you...
Look, I don't care for Iron Man in general. I feel like I can't really bring much to this debate anyway because I've only seen it once, probably when it came out.
Was that in like 2006 or something? Yeah, I remember watching that in art class.
Great.
Why?
Well,
look at the costume.
Ali, you can Thanos it if you want to.
Look, okay, you made a very convincing argument. I'm there for keeping one Iron Man because I feel like
let's not go too far into that because we do some of the others come up.
I think I see where you're coming from and I agree and let's keep it.
All right, we're
Sally?
keeping it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Now, with all of my experience in the Marvel world, let's move on to who I think is probably the nerdiest of all of the Avengers, and I know so much about all of them. Captain America, the first Avenger. What do we think, guys?
Okay.
Known Trump supporter. So keep that in
Nazi
mind when you're
puncher.
making your arguments.
Steve Rogers?
Yes.
Not at all.
Doesn't seem like
I don't know.
In fact, I know Chris Evans at least, who is of
Chris
course
Evans is not a fan.
and he is, after all, actually Captain America, right? We all know this.
Yes.
Okay, Captain America, the first Avenger, I have zero love for, and I don't think, although yes, it introduced, Chris Evans as Steve Rogers after, like so many other comic book movies after his shift from a totally different and like failed character, which was Human Torch in Fantastic Four. And, everybody looks at that decision to be like, anytime that sort of thing is announced, everyone rags on it. Like, you can't have, 2 characters essentially in the same universe. But then he took that role and ran with it. I just think that we could start, again, not to jump ahead, I think we could start Steve Rogers' story in the MCU a little later.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'd Thanos it.
All right, kill.
Thanos?
Yeah.
Kill!
It like many Marvel movies, it was really just a way to introduce a character, And I would agree with you. You could have introduced him in the first Avengers movie.
Yep.
And I would have been just as happy.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
Okay, done. Dead. All right, let's move on to Thor.
Oh, the first Thor?
I suppose.
I don't even remember what happens.
Fuck off, Thor.
Come on.
Yeah, no. Thanos.
Oh, okay. Look.
Argue
Can
your
someone,
case.
like-
Argue your case.
I legitimately do not remember anything about number one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Look, very, very forgettable. There is a lot that I think you could just totally Thanos from those movies, but I think that out of all the Marvel movies, this might be a little controversial, but I think that Asgard, Loki, and that world has kind of influenced the lead up to the Avengers, like more so than any other film. That's not to say I don't necessarily want to keep the first Thor.
But you feel like you have to, like you're obligated to.
What am I going to do? I'll vanish from existence.
This seems very selfish, considering a moment ago you said we weren't going to talk about me anymore.
Yeah, just to make sure we did kill Hulk, right? Hulk's done. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Thank God.
But that's my argument. I'm not saying it's a very strong one, but we introduced the Tesseract there. And lots of other.
And then there's that scene where Thor choked to death on his own hair.
And he was twirling his hair a lot for like 10 minutes.
I'm gonna Thanos it. I absolutely love Chris Hemsworth in that role. He's perfect for it. I didn't actually. I love Natalie Portman as an actress. I didn't like her in that film.
She didn't seem to enjoy.
No, she didn't seem to like it at all, and you could tell.
Mm.
And her character was very really uninteresting. The plot was uninteresting, and I love Kenneth Branagh as a director when he's directing Shakespeare. But with this, it was his lone directorial trick was like, what if I turn the camera at a 30-degree angle? That was it. That's all he had. So it was just a really flat, uninteresting film.
Yeah. Okay. I would, again, sorry, I keep going to skip ahead, but I can see
Don't
it.
skip it.
So what do we decide? Because I
Allie?
feel like your argument to keep it is the same argument for Adam's Iron Man. Like that it was...
Which is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it was pivotal in setting up the rest of the shit movies.
You're the tiebreaker here.
Did we end up Thanosing Iron Man?
No, we kept Iron Man.
it.
In my opinion, I feel like you have to remember a movie in order to judge it. And the fact that I remember absolutely nothing about Thor,
That's pretty
I
strong.
think it just got Thanos.
I think it just got Thanos. Do you
Thor,
want it?
Thanos.
Do you want it?
Sorry, Brady.
Gone.
No, fair enough.
Blinks out of existence.
Ciao!
We're not going... this is... You know what? We're not that far down, but I feel like this proves my point that these movies suck. Like, we've already killed 3 out of 4. Like,
The thing is, the ones that are good are so good.
Yeah.
I think as you go
Debatable.
further down, it's going to get juicier.
Well, yeah,
That's
for
my
sure.
theory. Origin stories, bow.
You
right.
don't need him.
well, speaking of, should we move on to
Yes.
Ant-Man?
Hey.
Hey.
I love Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's so fun.
Yeah, me too.
I have 2 words for you for why Ant-Man cannot be Thanos. Paul Rudd.
Right.
That's it. That is it. If anyone else had been cast as Ant-Man, I'd Thanos the shit out of it. But Paul Rudd, guys.
It just makes it so convincing, and it's just because it's... You think about it, it's a pretty rubbish and corny kind of superhero. A guy
that's what I love
kind
about
of
it.
but that's the thing, and he kind of I think he acknowledges that as well.
Yeah.
So it's just when he's doing something, it's
Yeah.
just this is so dumb.
Yeah.
That's why it's so perfect
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
it.
And it's it's a weak plot. Like, not a whole lot happens.
Weak
The
villain.
Yeah,
It's
it's totally
the
weak,
same
very
villain
weak
as Iron
villain.
Man
Like
1.
Corey Stoll's a great actor, but like just not a very intriguing villain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, there's nothing to recommend it other than Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Michael Douglas is awesome.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
this is true.
but Paul Rudd, guys.
And
I wouldn't Thanos a thing, Paul
Sally,
Rudd.
do you like Clueless?
Yeah, I love Paul Rudd, but I haven't seen that movie.
decision
Ant-Man.
made.
But yeah,
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I
Ant-Man
also think
stays in spite of being a very weak movie.
I think it's it also was like such a really good it's such a good example of moving away from Thor and those sorts of movies which like took themselves a little bit too seriously
Yeah.
when they started to loosen up. Like Guardians obviously came first, but Ant-Man followed up, and it's like, you know, it was just such the right, like it really sold the idea that this is the right direction to start heading in with not all of the films, but some of them. Like
Yeah, but just get a bit silly.
yeah, let them go crazy. The only reason that I wouldn't Thanos it. I'm still in the side to keep, but man, I wish we got the Edgarite Ant-Man.
Yeah. Oh man. What might have been?
Yeah. I think there's still a lot of that DNA in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been like a recurring thing, you know, director troubles across all Disney and Marvel franchises. I'm twirling my hair again.
He can't
I
stop.
can't stop.
so brilliant.
It's like you're talking to your first crush.
The Incredible
Adam,
Hulk.
you're so green.
Well, like your initial reaction to Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, I too walked into this room and thought, wow, Adam is stacked.
All right, that's it. We're keeping.
Got the world's best dad bod.
They're hot right now.
I'm happy. I'm so happy we're keeping Ant-Man.
All right, we're keeping Ant-Man. I feel like instead of a tick, I should just write Paul.
Paul,
Yep.
Paul Rudd.
All right, okay, let's move on to Iron Man 2.
We had the first one. Get rid of it.
Thanos.
Thanos. I love Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, not in that.
Yeah. It's
Eh?
all right. It's all right.
Mm.
It's all right. But yeah, no, completely forgettable.
The only thing I'd like to salvage from that film is Justin Hammer. Oh my god, one of my favorite actors, Sam Rockwell.
Oh yeah, I love
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell.
Oh, does
Love
he
Sam
dance
Rockwell.
in it?
I don't
Da
know.
bum bum bum.
Yeah.
Wait, is that Sam Rockwell?
He does some
Charlie's
dancing.
Angels?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right.
Um,
It's the
I,
only thing
Bum,
that
bum, bum,
matters.
bum.
Bum 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 bum.
I'll say this,
He's
like,
such a dick.
to me, this is a perfect example of like the kind of film Iron Man 2 is. I watched it on an airplane.
Mm.
The airplane landed 20 minutes before the end of the film, and I didn't feel like I needed to like see those last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I still haven't.
I had the exact same experience with Justice League just a couple of months ago. DC, sorry.
Point of order, DC.
All right. Well,
Thanos.
gone. All right, let's move to Thor: The Dark World.
Oh.
Thanos.
We've got two straight up Thanos, no question. And Alien, do you have any
No,
case to make?
No, but I saw that at the drive-ins, and I think
Oh.
I watched about 20 minutes of it, and then
And then you were in the.
yeah, no.
All right, unanimous across the board.
Cool. Can I just drop a bit of trivia in there?
Yeah,
So,
Slide it in.
give it to me.
actually, I don't got none. Sorry.
Well,
Thank God.
great.
Cut that out.
Such terrible wording after that drive-in comment. All right, go on.
Tell me more. Okay.
Um,
My boyfriend
Trivia,
can never see
trivia.
this.
Trivia.
let's
trivia. No, sorry, I screwed up my timing. It's actually coming after
Let's-
Civil
Okay.
War.
Oh.
let's cut that.
No, let's
Cut
not.
all of.
No, keep it. Keep
It's
it.
fine,
Keep it.
it's
Keep
fine,
it.
it's
It's
fine.
good.
Okay.
It's gold.
We're gonna move on to one of the only ones that I have seen. Strangely,
Ah!
Doctor Strange.
Oh,
You've seen Doctor Strange?
Yes.
how about that?
I have not.
Oh man, that's such a tough one. That's such a tough one because I feel like the visuals in it are just amazing.
Yeah.
You
Mm.
know.
Yep.
And I really love Doctor Strange as a character, and I feel like, of course, spoiler alert for Infinity War. But if you've made it this far, then you know what you're in for. I feel like he's the most important and intriguing character in Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
And that he will probably be the most important character in the follow-up to Infinity War.
Yep.
I hope he's not, but
I
more
think,
on that later.
I I feel like I want to keep it, even though it was kind of a forgettable movie.
Because he's very important to the.
I think because he's
story?
he's so important to the story, and I think he's such an intriguing character. Not necessarily in that, but in Infinity War. Like honestly, every moment he was on the screen, was just like this is the best part of the film.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I haven't watched Doctor Strange, and I felt like I missed nothing when I was watching.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Infinity War. Like I got all the backstory. I was like, oh, that's a story, and that's cool. Like,
well, I
he's
watched
a little magician.
Yeah, like I watched Doctor Strange after Infinity War.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like so obviously there's we're going all out here, but yeah, the time stone is the how he sacrifices himself, gives up the time stone, and the line is, he says to Tony, he's like, I'm sorry, it was the only way. And he
would not have done for altruistic reasons. Like he would not have done, well, not altruistic, he would not have done that to save Tony Stark's life.
No
way.
No.
So yeah. So he has a plan.
Yeah. And there's a scene earlier on where he's like doing that whole exorcist thing and looking at all the possibilities of where it could end. Yeah.
So it was the only way.
Yeah, exactly right.
So he knows what's going on. This is all playing into his hands.
Yep. I'd keep it. I think it's unforgettable though.
It is.
Again, we can backtrack, and if we've got too many at the end, we'll do a really quick just.
I'm going to say kill it.
You know what? I think you've swayed me. I think I'm going to Thanos it.
Thanos it.
I don't think you need it.
Yep. No.
Yeah. If you hadn't seen it and you still found Doctor Strange like an intriguing character.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, he's important.
And
all
once
right,
again, I hadn't seen it at the time, and I was like, this is the most interesting character.
And they totally wasted Mads Mikkelsen. Kill it.
Yeah.
All right. Done.
Yeah.
Odds aren't good.
Sorry, I could talk forever about that, but go on.
Okay. Let's move on to Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Keep it.
Yeah, Bucky. Oh my
Just
god!
based on the title, that sounds so shit.
It's amazing.
Can we get a picture of Bucky up, please, just to sway Sally?
I would make the case that movie is the best Superman movie of the last 35 years.
So I 100%. I'm in the keep it camp. Again, in the same way that Ant-Man and Guardians kind of didn't take themselves too seriously, Winter Soldier took me from the first Avenger, a movie I cared for so little, to this incredibly complex political thriller.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. They didn't make a comic book movie. They made a political thriller that happened to have comic book characters in it.
Yeah, exactly right. And great cast: Robert Redford, Sebastian Stan. Obviously introducing, as you said, Ali, Bucky Barnes, who's become a much bigger part of the MCU.
I think this was the first film that actually made me care about the Marvel universe, because before this I was just like, oh my god, they're just dollar bills, everything that they put out is just money making grabs. And then I saw this one and I was just like, hold on a second, they might be onto something. I think they might have nailed it.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree. Also, as we've already discussed, you don't need the first Avenger to introduce Steve Rogers, but I do think you need the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, most definitely need that.
That was beautiful.
Cool.
All right.
And it's just
are we
fun.
all for keep?
Oh yeah,
It's
I thought we'd
so
be
fun.
it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely great movie.
I thought we'd be a little more divided.
Nope.
Than this.
No, goodness, it's
I'm
excellent.
glad.
I think it's one of the best of the Marvel films. Just from the standpoint of just a good movie. It's
a good
more like
standalone.
something like 3 Days of the Condor or the Parallax View than it is Iron Man.
Yeah. Totally.
But that's the thing as well, because I don't think it focused so much on overarching plot or anything. It was just it was actually quite simple and self-contained.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is what was so good. It just focused on character development. It focused on just a good storyline.
And it still ties in really, really well to the MCU, and it's necessary for the MCU, but it wasn't just service to the MCU.
Yep. 100%
Cool.
agree.
Woohoo!
So now for my little bit of trivia.
Oh my
that
god,
I
I've been waiting
talked a little bit earlier
5 minutes for
before.
this.
So there's a cool little scene towards the end where we see towards the start of this movie where we see that Steve Rogers is still trying to catch up on
what the hell's
all
going on?
all the time, that
What's
he
this
spent
clock?
frozen. Yeah. pop culture, that sort of thing, and we get a really quick glimpse of a little notebook, because of course, you know, he's a little Boy Scout and wants to catch up on everything. The cool thing there is that depending on which region you're watching in, the kind of pop culture references change. So in the US, it's something like, Rocky, Rocky 2, Star Wars, Disco, a few other things. And then, there's like 4 different versions for different regions. And we actually had one, an Australian version, where he noted to catch up on Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
Oh my god.
Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
So funny.
Thai food and space travel. And I believe it was Crocodile Dundee or Steve-O and one of the others.
Oh, wait, actually?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That
I was
one
making that as a
around
joke.
No,
Oh.
definitely. Yeah.
That's
Australia,
about the
am I
limit.
right?
Yeah, the limit of Australian pop culture.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Guardians of the Galaxy. Easiest,
Yes,
best
Keep it,
soundtrack.
keep it, keep it, keep it.
Yes,
Keep
yes,
it.
yes.
All right.
I know
Brody's about to
not
argue.
as much of a fan, but keep it.
Can I, before you jump in, Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is kind of like, it's very similar. You've got paint on me, you jerk.
What did you expect?
Similar to Ant-Man in that it kind of like, I think it reconfigures what a Marvel film can actually do.
Yeah.
Like it kind of goes like very similar to like Deadpool in a way that it's just like, it pushes boundaries. It goes like, it's almost like I don't know, it's kind of like a 80s, like sort of like very
Yes,
niche film and stuff. And I think like seeing them push boundaries like that is very cool.
From the very beginning of that movie, I just felt absolute overwhelming joy. Honestly, like I just walked out of that movie like feeling elated because I it's one of the most fun times I've ever had in a movie.
Yep. Okay, so yeah. Look, again, if we're coming back to the, we'll be coming back to this series obviously soon, but I think that it did introduce a lot more backstory to Thanos than we ever had before that, obviously with Gamora and Nebula, which is very important. I think that the comedy in 1 wasn't as solid in 2 because I feel like there were moments that could have been a lot heavier at the end of 1 where they kind of just like cut it off with a laugh. Again, wasting Lee Pace as Ronan, for example. And this is not like unusual in the MCU universe. Like there are so many villains that are totally wasted. We've already discussed so many now. But I wanted a lot more from that movie. And I did have a very, very good time. I feel like 2 done it a lot better, but we'll move on to that soon.
In terms of comedy, though, I kind of think that the second one was almost like butchering the first in a little. Like it was just like, it's kind of like I'm going to go back to Deadpool again. Like the comedy is sort of set up for like as a specific way in the first movie that the second is almost like a parody of it.
Right, kind of like Austin Powers too, where it's like, hey, this exact joke structure worked last time. Let's do exactly the same joke with different wording.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. Yeah, like I would say that about Deadpool 2, Fox, but not about Guardians. I feel like Guardians 2, I feel like the jokes landed a lot better, and they still had time for a really emotional story.
Yeah, and I love Michael Rooker, and he's always scared the absolute bejesus out of me since Mississippi Burning, but he's so great in that movie, and it finally felt like his character had some real depth.
Yeah,
it rewrote his character, but not in a way that seemed like it was retconning it.
Okay.
You know? So I did like that about the second one.
Yeah. So, Sally, would you like to kill or keep Guardians of the Galaxy 1?
We're keeping it because that is a good soundtrack. Since we already just spoke about it, it's later down the list, but Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
You know what I want.
I would vote to keep both of these.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. Like, I didn't like it
Excellent.
anywhere near as much as the first one,
Yeah,
but there are enough
same.
moments in it that I liked that I wouldn't want to lose, you know. Once again, Michael Rooker just going ape shit with his weird little arrow thing.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow, I need that in my life.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be handy?
Well, just, I mean, that scene. Like, if that scene didn't exist, I feel like my life would not be as rich.
Cool, keep it.
Okay, cool.
I think we're almost halfway.
Yeah.
Jesus, there's a lot of
let's
these.
speed it up.
Yep.
All right. Thor Ragnarok.
Keep
Yes.
Keep it.
Oh, wow.
I've
I
only
think
seen
it's-
20 minutes, but
yeah.
it was hilarious.
It was so good. The
Yep.
thing about that I loved about this, I think I'm realizing a recurring theme in the movies that I like the ones that don't feel like they're Marvel films.
Interesting.
And they don't feel like they're superhero films. And I think this like hits that.
Well, I think
on the
that's
head.
that's an interesting point because they don't feel like the Marvel films that came before them, but they still very, very much feel like Marvel, like their brand of comedy,
like
and
kind of new Marvel, because I think
Yeah.
they've
like the phase
definitely
2, phase
progressed.
3.
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And much like Paul Rudd, I would not Thanos a thing Taika Waititi has ever done.
Ever no.
Ever.
Yep.
Yep, agreed. And it also really sets up Infinity War.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this was actually because I hadn't really seen any recently to begin with. Thor Ragnarok was like one of the only ones that I saw prior to Infinity War, because I was just like, someone was just like, you have to see it before Infinity War. I was like, all right, we'll do it. And then I watched it. And then I was so glad I did, because it was just like, one, it was just so fun, and two, it made me know what was going on in
Especially
Infinity
with
War.
Thor as a
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I feel like I missed
I-
out on
yeah. Yep.
going into Infinity War. Like
Yeah.
there are moments where I was like, this seems like something important
Yeah.
happened before now.
Especially because I didn't really care for any of the other Thor films, like, because I was just kind of like, as a hero, he's a bit corny and stuff.
I love him as a character,
Yeah.
but he's like, up until this one, his films have not been the best use of his character.
Yeah,
No.
he never won me over. Like, there was this whole frothing over Thor and Loki and stuff, and I was just like, I never really got it. But then once I watched this, I was just like, okay, I think I understand.
You
Because
didn't-
he's hilarious. He is so funny.
yeah,
You
exactly.
didn't read or write bizarre Thor Loki / fic?
We'll talk later.
Yeah, obviously Chris Hemsworth was wasted, playing it straight. He plays it like, loose and goofy so well.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we said, so much happens to Thor in that film. It really does set up his character for Infinity War. It doesn't really do much for anybody else, but yeah, for him
That's
personally,
fine.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely keep it.
Okay, cool. What about Spider-Man Homecoming?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Keep it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Brody, you're not going to Thanos Spider-Man Homecoming, right? I thought you liked Spider-Man.
I love Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man Homecoming. It's just that
It's not necessary.
We're coming to the it's not necessarily. I think we're going to get to a point soon where we're really going to have to make the tough decisions.
Yeah, what are
We've-
we at
we've
with
Thanos'd-
kill versus keep
We've
ratio?
Thanos'd a lot here.
No, we've kept a lot.
Okay, so right now we've got
Oh, we have to
2,
do half
3,
of them,
4,
don't we?
5, 6 being killed. We got really happy, like all in a row for a little while. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're 50-50.
50-50.
Oh, hey,
Let's
great.
keep it.
Keep
Let's
it.
keep it for now.
Yeah,
You
argument.
get past for now.
It really kind of shows a lot more of Tony and Peter's relationship, which I think is one of the most special parts of Infinity War. And showing Peter the fact that we never had to go through the Uncle Ben story.
Oh,
but
thank
thank
God.
thank goodness, but we still get this kind of we know that he's missing that figure because of how Iron Man plays into Homecoming, and how he kind of becomes instantly attached to him and looks to him for some kind of affection. So yeah, and I think that relationship becomes really important.
Yeah, it's not necessary to the MCU. It doesn't really advance the MCU, but it's just a really fun, well-made movie.
Yeah.
I think it's also good to include Spider-Man in here because of the abominations that have followed it.
Yeah,
This is
Namely,
we needed
Andrew
this.
Garfield and the end of Old Tobes.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Spider-Man.
desperately needed
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I think everyone, including me, had kind of given up hope with Spider-Man. I was just like, not
For sure.
again, please stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he might have wanted me back.
In the
Thanks, Tom.
nurturing hands of Marvel, everything was made right.
Yeah.
All right, we're keeping it. Okay, what about Captain America Civil War?
Oh, keep it.
Gotta
Yeah.
keep it. Gotta keep it. That's the second best Avengers movie.
it really is.
Also, that's like the real first one. Oh, wait. I'm trying to think. Like, in terms of solo movies that have, like, for me, that have kind of brought in multiple universes and stuff, like, that I really remember. I'm definitely wrong because Adam, you're giving me.
No. I'm trying to think.
I'm
I think
scared to
Don't
say
worry, they
anything to
can't
do with
see,
Marvel.
but look up.
He's just like,
Yeah, exactly. It's
What
just a
the fuck are
floating
you
pair of
saying?
lips and eyes.
Like,
He looks.
I don't know, to
concerned.
have like a Captain America movie and then also have Tony Stark as another main character, to me, I think is really exciting, rather than having another main, like a new character introduced as the other kind of like rival.
Yeah, and the idea of basically like who's the villain in this movie.
Yeah.
Like there's not really a villain. I mean, you could say William Hurt, but not really.
And Zemo, Daniel Bruhl. But like, you know, he was kind of just that character pulling the strings, and he never became involved past that, which I really liked.
Yeah.
That was just who he was. Also, this is going to play into it soon because we're going to have to make some bigger decisions, but I totally think you could just take Civil War and forget Age of Ultron.
Yes, absolutely.
All of the conflict that
get
leads
that
up to the Avengers Infinity War comes from Civil War, essentially.
Yeah.
And
although Age of Ultron sets up in Civil War.
Of course.
But yeah, they could have done that a different way.
yeah,
I never saw Age of Ultron, and I feel like the only thing I
missed
missed was
nothing.
maybe the red guy with the jewel in his head. Was he from Age of Ultron?
Vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, and during that movie, I was just like, I don't care about you anyway.
You can
like,
figure all
the girl
that
was
out.
cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Civil War explains that more, and there's obviously the tragedy of what's the city that gets destroyed in Age of Ultron?
Yeah.
Some
Quite
weird
forgettable.
Which is the tragedy that kind of turns Tony Stark in Civil War.
name.
But
yeah, exactly.
there's also the tragedy at the start in Sokovia, which kind of, you know, serves the same purpose. So just keep that and forget about Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Which we're getting to.
Yeah. So
Can we
let's
cut
let's
Age
just
of Ultron at, like,
well let's
while
just
we're at it?
skip to Age of Ultron and Thanos.
Yeah.
Right
Thanos
now
it.
because I think we're all agreed on that.
Ciao.
All right. See ya. Okay. Iron Man 3.
Never saw it. I can't comment.
If you've got 3 movies,
I've heard it's like
Don't.
the best Iron Man movie, but I don't know. I don't really.
if
care
we're
about
going
it.
with that, then we're getting rid
Yeah,
of
it's
Iron
very
Man 1.
controversial. I really enjoyed it. I think, again, as a matter of... We kept Iron Man 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I don't think we need Iron
Okay,
Man
let's
3.
Thanos.
All right.
Ah.
Cool.
I mean, only to explain
getting
the
rid of
fact
it.
that
Oh, sorry.
Terrence Howard turns into Don Cheadle in that gap. Otherwise, yeah, forget about it. What we got next?
But no, he turned into Don Cheadle in Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. But we nixed that too.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Get rid
did.
of all of
Yeah.
So he just becomes Don Cheadle in Civil War. That's fine.
That's fine. Civil War is all about introducing new characters.
Okay. What about Black Panther?
Yes.
Keep it.
Keep it.
I-
Keep it.
I'm ashamed to say I haven't seen it, but on general principle, keep it.
Yeah. I feel like it's such an important movie, especially because like Marvel is just like
Yep.
so whitewashed. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And so having something that actually shows diversity and strong females
Yeah.
is a really big thing,
Yeah.
and something that
For
is so
sure.
rare in
And-
these movies.
And
Mm.
that like Marvel actually like defied Hollywood convention that you can't have an all black cast without it being like a niche film, like basically geared toward African American audiences.
Yep.
Like basically saying, you know what, you can have an all black cast and make a blockbuster movie.
Yep.
So middle
While-
finger to
Mhm.
racists.
Yep. While
love
like
that.
actually saying something and taking really big swings, like with the story, like you haven't seen it, you said?
No.
No, so like it really says like, you know, there is a lot about racism. In fact, Andy Serkis's character Claw is just disgustingly racist, and you know, Martin Freeman's character is like forget the character name, but basically an FBI agent who kind of comes to Wakanda and
Little
is-
colonizer.
Yeah, exactly. They, you know, straight up call him a colonizer and all this stuff. Ultimately, he's accepted, but like they don't hold back. Which
They
I
openly
love.
address that
Yep.
stuff. Yeah.
Taking big swings, which we need, I think, in the MCU.
And once again, from what I've heard, Michael B. Jordan's character, there's
Oh my god.
there's once again that kind of like, is he really a villain? Like, is he actually a villain? Like,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. And another character who went from a really bad Fantastic Four movie as Human
Yeah.
Torch to a successful Marvel movie.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that's the metric. Like that's the path to success. in the
Exactly.
MCU.
If you want to be a great MCU character, just play the Human Torch.
Even just like home video, whatever.
Yeah.
Definitely keep. Yep.
Wow.
Sweet. Okay. So we did nix Avengers Age of Ultron, but what about
Awesome.
just the Avengers?
I think you've got to keep the Avengers.
Really?
I legitimately really loved the Avengers because
Where are we
it's the first time that Thor's character was really, really great. it's the first time Hulk shows up.
Yep.
And I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, cool.
I'd hold on to it.
I agree. I really enjoyed Avengers the first time around, and the Chitauri invasion, Tony's sacrifice are all things that influence nearly every movie afterwards. Like Michael Keaton's character in Homecoming, even his background is he's the cleanup crew.
Yeah, exactly. Salvaging from the Chitauri invasion.
Yeah.
And like if nothing else, keep it for the post-credit scene of them just sitting around like with zero dialogue eating shawarma.
Trying to lift the hammer, is that right?
No, that's in Age of Ultron.
Oh, right.
This is the one where it's like,
yeah.
they're just eating shawarma.
Just chilling together.
That's it. They're just sitting in a restaurant, still in their full superhero costumes, eating shawarma. And there's no dialogue. And it's like, that was just great. Like like Michael Rooker, fucking shit up with his arrow. That's a scene I need in my life.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay,
Set the bar for
so
post-credits.
are we keeping it?
Keep it.
Ali, do you have any?
Look, I don't remember the plot of this one either. So
All right.
If we're nixing like 2 of the 3 Thor movies, I feel like we need this one for Loki.
we've gotten very keep happy though. There's a lot of keeps here. We're gonna have to cut.
Yep. We'll run through and do like real quick.
Infinity War
Infinity.
keep 100%.
Yeah, you got.
Like I don't even think we need to talk about
Yeah,
no.
so Infinity War
Oh,
is
Infinity
the last
War is
one.
out of the
So-
equation. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Yep.
it is.
Yeah,
Okay, well then we're done.
because you can't Thanos.
All right, I think we have to cut one of the Guardians of the Galaxies.
what's
Yeah,
our list?
So, okay, so do you want me to go through and say what we've
Mm-hmm.
Well,
killed and
well,
then
how
what
many?
we've kept?
How
many?
Kept 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for kill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So we only
7,
need 1.
8, 9, 10.
Yeah, we need 1 more
Jeez.
kill.
I
Okay.
think we kill one of the Guardians of the Galaxies. That's my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Or Ant-Man.
Oh no, you can't kill Ant-Man.
No,
Paul
that
Rudd.
was like the most passionate discussion we had.
But
Yeah,
I'm
did
looking
you-
at,
And
I'm looking
panel.
at
Do
the
you
overall thing, and I'm like, oh, is it
Oh,
necessary?
do you not remember Paul Rudd?
Well, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Or
Can
kill
we read
Spider-Man.
the list that we've kept one last time, Sally, please?
Okay, so we're keeping Iron Man 1, Ant-Man, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, yes. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, Thor, Ragnarok, Spider-Man Homecoming, Captain America Civil War, Black Panther, and the Avengers.
Cut Spider-Man.
Oh,
It's the least necessary.
it really is.
But
It's nice
so
to
good.
have, but
it's so good,
you know.
though.
Do we? Oh. Okay, thinking of Infinity War, right?
No.
Do you think that Gamora's death would have meant as much without Guardians 2? It was pretty poorly done anyway. But
Yeah, it was done terribly anyway. To be honest, I feel like Guardians 2 didn't really even kind of touch on her much. I don't know if this is just because it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I feel like it focused more on I forgot what Chris Pratt's character is, but focused more on Chris Pratt.
and his relationship with his father, yeah.
Mm.
Which is also very important because it reveals that he is a
god.
Celestial. Yeah.
But that's not really necessary like at the
Yet.
moment.
Yeah, it will be. God, I hate to lose Spider-Man, but it's
Also
the least necessary.
introduces Adam Warlock in the post credits.
That's right. Yeah, and
Who?
he's gonna be super important.
Another
Adam Warlock.
huge
Yeah,
character,
Mm.
he's gonna be really.
But they're
important.
not needed now.
But we will need them.
You don't know that.
We will.
After all this Thanos shit, we're gonna need them.
Yeah.
Bye, Spider-Man.
Yeah, I got it.
Ciao.
Kills me, but I think I have to say Thanos.
Do you agree,
Spider-Man.
Sally?
It seems absurd that we're keeping 2.
Sally has so many opinions.
It seems absurd that we're keeping 2 Guardians.
Well,
of the
that's what
Galaxy
I was
movies
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and getting rid of
Spider-Man.
the single Spider-Man.
That's what
movie.
I
But you
was
don't need the single Spider-Man, I think. Like,
You're
I think you
right.
get
Yeah.
you
You're
get enough
right.
of it in Infinity War. You're like, he's still...
And ultimately, it's going to go back to, he's only on rent.
Plus,
at
you know
Marvel.
who
Yeah.
Spider-Man is anyway.
Mm.
You know?
Yep.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think he was
Right.
introduced
Yeah,
adequately.
there's like 70 Spider-Man movies at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I think you got bit by a wolf.
all right, I've killed Spider-Man.
Whoa,
Ciao.
we've got it.
How long
much-
did
much
we
like in
spend doing
Infinity
that?
War.
Oh my God.
So long. I'm so tired.
I feel fatigued.
My back
Great.
hurts.
Can we just run through our final list one more time, Sally?
Yep. So on the kill list, we have the Incredible Hulk. Sorry, Adam. Thor, Iron Man 2, Thor: Dark World, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Age of Ultron. So
That's a damn fine list.
It is
Yeah.
a good list.
And then on the keep list, now we have Iron Man, right?
Uh-huh.
Ant-Man, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, Thor: Ragnarok, Captain America: Civil War, we killed Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Black Panther and the Avengers.
It also seems absurd, like looking at it now, that we kicked out Spider-Man to keep Ant-Man, which is objectively an inferior film. But Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. There is no other argument.
No.
No, we
Don't
made the
at
right
us.
choice.
We got just a tiny taste of Paul Rudd in Civil War.
Yep.
And it's not enough Paul Rudd.
No.
So, yeah.
No, he was like one of the things that I truly missed from Avengers. I was like, where the hell
Why
is
was
Yeah,
he
he?
in
exactly.
there?
Well, he could be coming for the next one. He might be one that survived. Same as Hawkeye. We'll see. I'm sure that's the case.
Hawkeye, oh my god, what a joke.
There's probably scheduling conflicts.
Yeah,
To be
yeah.
honest.
Which is weird because both Jeremy Renner and Paul Rudd showed up in some like press, rounds for Infinity
just
War.
to kind of throw people off the trail.
Cheeky.
Great. All right. A little bit of trivia before we leave this segment. So Groot, everybody's favorite tree, is voiced by Vin Diesel. Din Diesel, my man.
Is he voiced
Jim-
by Vin
Jim
Diesel?
Caviezel?
I missed that completely.
He's voiced by Vin Diesel. Not
That's
just
so
not just
funny.
OG Groot, but also Baby Groot and Teenage Groot are all voiced by Vin Diesel. He doesn't use any effects to change his voice to Baby Groot. He does it. He said he's been doing cartoon voices his whole life, and that's
Oh
just how
my
he does it.
god.
Cute.
And nice little bit of trivia. James Gunn actually provides Vin Diesel with a translated script of what Groot
Oh.
is actually
So he
saying.
gets his inflection right.
Exactly right. Yeah.
That is brilliant.
Isn't that adorable?
I
Apparently
absolutely
he's-
loved that Thor understood him.
Yes.
in
Yeah.
Infinity
Yeah.
War.
Yeah,
Like,
that
that
was
was
so good.
so great.
Yep.
Also, James Gunn has revealed that Baby Groot and Teenage Groot are not Groot. That Groot from the first Guardians film is dead.
Dead, yeah.
Proper dead.
Oh,
And that
that's sad.
Baby Groot is basically his progeny.
Mm.
So, yeah. So all you people are like, oh, yay.
He's back.
He's back. Nope, he's
dead.
dead.
He's dead.
Apparently, his last words as well were, "Who's the Raccoon Man?
Rocket.
Raccoon Man." His last words were to him, and he was saying, "Dad."
Yes, I heard that. That's
Oh.
heartbreaking in Infinity War when he vanished, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I just got the chills.
Oh,
Yeah.
me too.
Cool.
What about you, Sally?
I'm toasty.
Touching.
We'll be back after this for a quick segment on which characters we would bring back from the dead, officially dead, so anything kind of post-snap MCU. I've got the list here, and we'll run through it. Cheers. We'll be right back. Hey! Great. So we're doing a little bit of a time stone segment where we bring back one officially dead character each from the MCU. I'm going to burn through the dead character list, and you can tell me which one you want to bring back.
I don't even need the list. I know right off the bat.
Okay.
Hold that.
Hold that thought. Because somebody might pop up that you
Hold
really, really
it.
want. All right. We've got Malekith from Thor: The Dark World, Ultron, Killian from Iron Man 3, Alexander Pierce from Winter Soldier, Darren Cross from Ant-Man, Ego, Guardians, Ronan, Guardians, Obadiah Stane, Iron Man, Healer, Kate Blanchett, Thor Ragnarok, Taserface, of course, Guardians 2, Claw, Ivan Vanko, Mickey Rourke, Scourge, The Warriors 3, so Thor's little troop in Asgard, Quicksilver, the Ancient One, Zuri, which is, Black Panther character, so forget about that for now. Eric Killmonger, Black Panther villain, Yondu, Yinsen, Vision, Gamora, Heimdall, Loki.
I feel like I don't know who anyone
Okay.
is except like maybe
Loki.
Quicksilver. Bring back Quicksilver.
Whoa! Why?
Because I love Quicksilver as a character.
Yep.
I always loved him in the comics. In the comics, he's Magneto's son.
Yep.
And he's a really fascinating character. At least in there's a comic book series, comic book team called X Factor, and Quicksilver was one of the members of X Factor, and he was just a really intriguing character, really deep, and I just feel like he was totally wasted, just completely wasted in that movie. So yeah, and then the fact that he's Scarlet Witch's brother, and that whole relationship, like I was, when he got killed in Age of Ultron, I was incensed. Like, seriously, you're going to introduce such an awesome, fascinating character and then just waste him?
Yeah. See, I was never that attached. I'm still not to Wanda because I know that Magneto is never going to come into the equation.
Yeah,
so
I know. That's a bit bothersome.
Yeah.
But still, I know that. The fact that I know it is enough, that it's Magneto's son.
Yeah, sure. Ali, anybody at all?
I didn't even know that. The more you know.
Yeah.
Can I have the list again?
Yeah. There
Look,
you go.
I don't care a lot, to be honest.
Isn't there the one that you're dressed as?
Yeah, but I don't
allegedly
care. Sorry, that's like a really bad way.
Maybe
to say
that's
it.
why she didn't
Like
commit
I
to the
thought her
green.
death was done really badly. Peter Quill's mother.
We can bring back Peter Quill's mother?
Bring back his mom.
But doesn't that kind of destroy like everything about his character?
Yeah, I don't think he'd ever get picked up.
Oh, but okay.
This is based on opinion, so if you really want to back,
I don't think anyone should go without a mother. That's my opinion.
Aww.
That's very sweet of you.
Loki, maybe? He was alright.
That's who I'd pick. I don't know
Loki?
half of those people, but
I don't
I'd
know.
pick Loki.
I don't know who anyone is here. I wish I had pictures. The ancient one sounds fun. He could be cool.
Which one is
Tilda Swinton.
Yes, Doctor Strange, his mentor.
Oh.
No, I don't care for him.
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton, her.
Vision was annoying. Who was did his girlfriend die?
In the snap, not officially.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is officially. Okay, yeah, alright, I get what you mean. Look, I'm gonna stick with Peter Quill's mother.
Okay, bring back Peter Quill's mother and eliminate Guardians 1 and 2 movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sweet.
we could have Thanos those if we'd known that.
Look, I don't want someone else to suffer just for our entertainment. So,
I would like to bring back Eric Killmonger. It's probably a little bit obvious, but holy shit, Michael B. Jordan is amazing, and they really started to, as we discussed before, portray him as this kind of anti-hero. His cause was understandable. He did some pretty horrendous shit, but, towards the end, it was like, once he was in Wakanda and saw like everybody kind of working together and, how much respect everybody had for T'Challa, you saw some kind of like glimmer of hope. And he could have easily been revived, but chose to die. I just feel like they really could have done more with him over the next few films. Turn him into like this, like totally flip him from this character who's done like some of the most horrible shit you can imagine to an anti-hero who redeems himself in the end, as Loki did very briefly at the beginning of Infinity War, trying to take down Thanos. That's my thinking.
Well, they're all dead,
well.
so
Sally.
sorry guys.
Well, they're all
Sally,
dead.
special question for you. What Harry Potter character would you bring back from the dead?
Snape.
Oh, okay.
Snape. And into the MCU.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Loki. He could probably like come in.
The new
Old
Loki.
Hello.
I'm really looking forward to this crossover. Great. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. We've run on a long, long time, so we're going to let you go.
We got more things to say.
You guys
Great.
have been very patient.
Yeah.
I'd like to add personally Hulk smash. Hulk Hulk smash.
Yeah, now?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Why don't Hulk talk?
Mm,
Hulk wants cigarette?
you know, I think I think Hulk smash though. Yeah. I'm weighing up my options at this point. I think Hulk smash.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk about it in a second, okay, buddy?
Okay, pal.
Thanks so much for joining us. It's worth mentioning that Oz Comic Con is coming up June 9 and 10, Friday and Saturday. There's a lot of talent going to be there. AJ Kappa from Riverdale,
Very yeet.
playing Archie, will be there.
Baby boy.
A few folks from Lucifer, which unfortunately was cancelled recently, so we'll see how
So
that
they got
goes.
plenty of time on their hands.
Yep. Julian Dennison, Deadpool 2, Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh, he's so
Hilarious young man. Yeah.
Cutie.
And we'll be doing a giveaway when this podcast goes live. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the Viewfinder podcast. You can find the latest streaming news, reviews, and roundups at finder.com.au/streaming. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Finder Tech, and email your questions and feedback to view@finder.com.